I'm sure there's very few of you here at the moment. The sun is out and you're out enjoying yourselves. Good.
Yeah.
But if you're here, welcome to Carina. Beautiful Carina, who makes me feel like an old woman.
No.
But it's fine. Beautiful Carina, who you may know. Carina, can you talk about yourself? Can you talk about yourself?
Oh,
Before we do that, let's put on our balm.
Yes, beautiful.
So
So
we'll
this
put it
is
on
the
our pulse
new
points. Yeah.
Morley Sleep Dharma Calm Balm.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's a bit solid.
Okay, I'm trying it for the first time, guys.
So you put it on your pulse points.
Okay, this smells
And it kind of
stunning.
Doesn't it smell good?
Wow.
And it kind of just sets the tone for us having a chat.
That's beautiful.
And it will make me a little bit calmer than I was with Estelle.
Yeah.
Well, I think
We have 2 Vata doshas in the house, so we're going to need half a bottle of these each.
You're right. You are right. But are you in a balanced Vata state?
I would say so more at the moment. I didn't used to be. So I'm naturally like Vata Pitta dosha.
Same.
Yeah. So since I came
Oh my God.
yeah, I have more Pitta.
We're going to go kooky and then tell each other you're not good enough. Oh my
The
goodness.
passion, the air, the fire, the
Oh
heat.
my goodness. No, but now you're not like that.
Not so much. A bit more balanced now, yeah, for
Good.
sure. Definitely.
Good.
It's been a day to get
I
out.
see that. I think
Yeah.
you're very, you have a very elegant, calm demeanour.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
So, Carina, tell
Yeah.
people about yourself.
So my name is Carina Talla and I'm a healing coach. So I specialise in helping women heal their mental health from a holistic perspective though. So I look at mind,
Sorry, my
body,
doll's
and spirit.
flowing over. So
That's
you carry
okay.
on.
I'm going to chat. We're cooking some food on the stove and we have an emergency to go. So like I said, I work with women holistically, mind, body and spirit. I specialise in something called inner child healing, which allows you to work in the levels of the subconscious mind to unblock limiting beliefs and trauma and stuck emotions from the past that are holding you back. But my journey really started in holistic healing actually with Ayurvedic medicine.
Right.
So although I specialise now in inner child healing and something called reparenting, a lot of my work and methodology is rooted in Ayurvedic medicine.
Right.
As
I have to
I'm
cozy up to
yeah,
you.
cozy up. As I am a certified Ayurvedic practitioner. I did some training in the UK and I also trained in Kerala in the south of India for 12 weeks, like an intensive 6 days a week, like 9 hours a day study in the jungle, like the most amazing experience. So my holistic methodology is very much rooted in many different practices.
What took you there?
To India. Well, I had already been healing with Ayurvedic medicine for, it was like 4 to 5 years at that point.
Right.
And honestly, I feel that a lot of us in the West that aren't from India, okay, this is not my blood, this is not my culture, it's not my roots, there's just so much appropriation of these sciences that we're not respecting enough. And because
That's why you wanted to go
that's where I
over.
wanted to go. I was like,
Can I say, Carina,
yeah.
I see people like you and these 2 incredible girls whose names I forget. They talk a lot about Sanskrit. And actually, I think you have gone so much deeper than we may go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see so much good.
Yeah, totally.
So much good
yeah.
because there's more of an appreciation and not taking it for granted.
Yeah,
You know, I
exactly.
may have had my hair oiled when I was younger and just take that knowledge for granted because whereas you'll say, okay, hair oiling, but what does it do? Why does it do it?
Yeah.
And you'll delve far deeper.
Yeah, totally.
So I feel we should appreciate because your intention is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about intention.
And I feel as well, I just wanted to like keep that respect for like these sciences and where they come from. So as well, I was like, yeah, time to go to India. Let's go. So
But what led to that India journey then?
Should I go a little bit
Yes,
to the
deeper,
beginning? Okay,
deeper,
let's go back, guys. So what even led me to Ayurvedic medicine? So let's just wind it back a bit, as I think it's easier to understand where someone is now from, where they've kind of come from.
Yeah.
So my journey with Ayurvedic medicine, it started when I was around 19, 20, so I'm 27 now. And at that age, my body like completely like broke down and burnt down. I was actually interning in Kensal Rise, funny enough,
You're
around
kidding?
the corner from here. I was studying fashion at the time.
You're kidding?
Yes.
For who?
Bordel is like
Bordel.
a contour brand. Yeah, so I used to do fashion design before.
Oh my goodness.
Holistic healing, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Where were you interning? Like, where?
it was one of the literally Kensal Rise. We
Oh
go up the
my
station every
goodness.
morning, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So at that point,
That was Standing City
yeah,
then.
yeah, definitely. So at that point, I had been struggling with my mental health for a good 9 years, and I really struggled with anxiety, depression, how we were talking earlier. extreme PTSD,
Right.
addiction already. So the area I grew up was outside of London, and it was a challenging area to say the least. And from the age of 12, I just ended up taking drugs and with the wrong people, really dark. I had so much trauma from my childhood. So my teenage years were like, I never had like an after school hobby, or I never went to a sports class, or I didn't have like a community or friends. It was just real trauma, really turbulent.
Were you aware of that? Were you aware that this was not normal?
At the time, it was difficult because I grew up poor in an affluent area.
Right.
So I couldn't do the things that other families and kids were doing.
Yes. So you feel neither here nor there.
Neither that. I didn't belong anywhere.
Yes.
Right. I think it's almost easier growing up broke around like people like you, because you can connect and you have them connect to you. But there was so much shame around like my family at home and the way we were living, completely different to everybody else. So had all these years of trauma without realizing, even during that time, there was no terminology for the word anxiety or depression. I didn't know I was depressed. I wanted to die every day, but I didn't have a word for it. And I would go to the doctors and they would just be trying to prescribe medication from the age of 12 years old.
What medication were they trying
Antidepressants for everything from the age of 12. So it was a long journey. Yeah. So by the time I got to 19, 20, my physical body...
They were just prescribing it from the age of 12?
Age of 12, yeah.
Oh, dear.
I remember so clear. And I would go back like every few months just like, can somebody help me? I don't know what to do. Oh, dear. And they just didn't stop. So by the time 19, 20, my body shut down. It was because of all these years of emotional trauma in my body. And my body just basically gave in. It started off with cystic acne all over my chest, my back, my face. You won't believe it now.
And you're already feeling bad enough, and then when you physically feel vulnerable,
it's manifesting, actually looking at you. And then I started getting really bad food allergies and intolerances. I was unable to eat even many vegetables, grains, some fruits. I would
Did you know? Did you instantly get a reaction? Like you knew if you ate grains, this would happen, or you could make the connection?
Yeah. Right. At the beginning, I was really confused. So I'd never had food allergies ever, my whole life. I could eat anything, and suddenly I was becoming intolerant to everything. Obviously, the classics: dairy, gluten, alcohol, sugar, and then it was just normal foods. And I was like, what is going on? It would get so bad to the point that if I would have something like gluten, I would pass out for like 5 hours and not remember anything. It would like turn off my memory. God. Yeah, it was really, really bad. So the food allergies, and then the IBS, I started getting gastritis. My hair was falling out. My eyelashes were falling out.
Are you kidding?
Covered in hives. I couldn't actually, my vision was so blurry at one point. My hearing was going, like my body was chronically shutting down. But I was still pushing through. Like I would be going to intern, I could hardly see what I was doing. And I was like, no one could know what I'm going through right now.
Carina, were you able to put on, you know the way you look now? You're so beautiful. Were you able to look like that? Would people know if I saw you? Yeah. Would I have seen this woman? Or close to?
Maybe a tiny bit close to, I think. A bit of makeup and brushing my hair can sort out anything.
Yes, yeah.
But you could tell I was not okay. Like
because in your demeanour,
yeah,
was it the way you carried yourself?
But back then, I think you could see in my eyes. My eyes were like, I had no light behind my eyes. Okay, they were like bloodshot and red all the time. I looked anxious, like shaking. I was very, very skinny, like looked bony. Was just in pieces. I just looked like a scared little person. It was so sad, really. So yeah, during that time, my body was like shutting down really bad. And
were you early 20s at that point?
Yeah, 19, 20. Right. And I was starting to get super confused about these physical symptoms. I had no idea about health or healing. Funny enough, at that time, I was working with like a Reiki energy healer before I knew that food had nutrition in it. I was getting crystal healing, you know, spirit sent me in that direction.
You innately knew what was right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do. One does know.
Yeah.
But then with the food, I guess you were sabotaging that.
Yeah, part, you know, it's crazy.
That push and pull.
Yeah, and I was living in two worlds at one time. Half of my world was addiction, like in East London, like gang members, violence, crime. And the other foot of my life was like trying to heal, like crystal healing, energy healers, like all this. It was crazy. I was literally just in
same as when you were young with the living an affluent life. But
exactly. Constantly in two worlds. Constantly like feeling more at home in like the, let's say, the unsafe parts of the world, and then like trying to get my foot into a safer way of living. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So yeah, when my body shut down, it's so exhausting. So when my body shut down, interning literally around the corner from here in Kensal Rise, and I was at the studio, and I remember I was just standing in the studio, and like my vision just went, and I literally couldn't see anything, and I was like, oh fuck, like trying to hold on to the side like I'm gonna fall, and then I just pass out, like fully just fall backwards in the studio.
Oh my goodness.
And basically like get taken back that day, and the studio manager was like,
my goodness.
you do remember anything? I'm like, I don't remember anything. Like, you're literally having like a fit, like a psychosis. Like my body was just in pieces.
Was that the turning point for you?
The turning point.
Good.
Because
Good it happened then.
that was
And
literally
you
the
were
universe
okay. Yes.
being like, you need to heal.
Yes. Yeah.
You need to heal now. This has to stop. Enough of this. Like, you're not going to make it if you carry on like living like this. So I remember so clearly I had to leave London, go back to stay in the South Coast. And my healing journey began then. But from that moment, like my body gave in. I couldn't walk for 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
I was bedbound. Like my partner at the time, he was having to like walk me into the bathroom, like spoon feed me food.
How did you feel about that?
Crazy.
Did you have the fear of I need to earn, I need to be out there, I need to be doing, or did you surrender to it?
I was so like, my life is done. I can't even think. Like, it was just lucky I had him, because I would have been like on the streets. It would have been crazy. He honestly was like a little like saving grace during that time.
Where were your family?
It's just a difficult one with them. Yeah, just a lot of history, a lot of pain, a lot of distance.
Is it different now?
I had to go through a separation from all my family, so I'm an only child.
Right.
And I grew up with a single mum. Haven't seen my dad since I was 10, but he was very violent and abusive, so it's a safer way anyway.
And mum?
But my mum, we struggled a lot, like in my teenagers growing up, and like a few incidents happened where I had to just like distance myself from her and other family members. So that was hard, because I kind of did like the past 2 years like on my own. Like no family, no mum or dad, no siblings, aunties, nothing. But
aunties, nothing.
No.
Wow.
Just had to protect myself, and it gets to that point where you can hold on to toxic family members because better than having no family at all. But it was bad because my body was again.
Cousins? No cousins.
I have cousins, but incidents happen that are complex. I had to distance myself from everyone.
Right.
It all got very tangled.
But you have a family now of friends that
Of
are your
friends.
family?
Yeah, absolutely. I've chosen my family now,
Yes.
definitely.
Good.
So with that, when I came into Ayurvedic medicine coming into my life, I remember seeing and finding about Ayurveda at like 4 o'clock in the morning on YouTube, like the most millennial thing ever. I literally am Googling like how to heal. I put that into the YouTube search engine.
And something elementary must have come up, I
Super
imagine.
elementary. And do you know who it was? It was Sahara Rose. Wow. And she is like 23 at the time.
And she would have only just started her journey too.
Her YouTube account had like 500 followers.
Yes, I remember. That would have probably been around 2014.
I think 14,
15
around
maybe.
that time, 14.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, what is this weird word? But it just completely like changed something
and
for
she
me.
had a very easy way of explaining it as well, I think.
Totally breaking it down. So at that time I was thinking this Ayurvedic thing, like she talked about the mind and body, and she was explaining the Vata dosha. I was like, I have all of those symptoms. Okay, I have all the picture symptoms. Wow, like this is finally giving language for things that the doctors I've been seeing for 10 years couldn't give me one explanation for.
Gosh, yes.
And this like young girl on YouTube was explaining everything I was going through. So I was like, there must be something to this, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking Ayurveda probably doesn't exist in the UK. I don't really understand it. I'm going to try and find it. I'm just Googling on the internet Ayurvedic doctors in London. Yeah. And then I find a Ayurvedic clinic in South London, Croydon.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's a really good one, isn't it?
One,
I've heard of
so
that.
I turn up there, and I remember I was so scared because I've been like dealing with Western doctors for a decade that were just ruthless and brutal, and I was just a number. They don't give a shit about you, you know.
And
it's just
a tablet.
So cold.
Yes.
So I was thinking like I had such a fear around doctors because of the experience I had. So I remember going to the Ayurvedic clinic, and I'm like just so timid and just looking at her. And she just puts her arms around me and just hugs me. And I don't have that for me for my family. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like, oh my God.
Did you cry? Did you cry?
I was confused. I was like, so when you have gone through so much trauma and someone's being nice to you, you're like, what do you want from me? What's going to happen?
It's
like,
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. It's just so sad. I'm not like that now, but at the time I was.
It's too intimate almost, isn't it? Yeah.
And her eyes were just like glowing with light. And I was just like, who is this like unbelievable being? And the first thing she said to me, she's like, it's time to start healing from your childhood. And I just was like, because she's looking at me. And that's the thing with Ayurveda. You can look at someone for 2 minutes and just know exactly what they're going through. And my journey with Ayurvedic medicine began there. But the first thing she told me to do before nutrition, before the doshas, anything, she was like, you need to start journaling and writing. I was just like, woman, do you know I've been through? How's journaling going to help?
And you've never done that before?
I never journaled. I didn't know what journaling was. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Didn't heard of the most basic things that Ayurveda teaches. So I was just thinking, oh my God, what's this book going to do, you know? And God forbid, years later, I have filled out probably hundreds of journals at this point. It saved my life.
Do you journal in the way that they do in, what's that book called? You know the book, the art one. You know, where you just put random stream of thoughts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where you just don't really think about it. You just, you might write, you know, such and such is making me sick. And is it like that?
Yeah.
Or is it much more thoughtful?
Honestly, it depends. Like, over my healing journey, and like, I actually have literally filled hundreds of journals. It's crazy. Yeah. It depends what I'm going through, what I'm healing through. Yeah. In the real difficult times of my healing journey, I would just let it all pour out. Yeah. And sometimes I'm writing for like 4 hours. I can't stop. I just couldn't stop. It saved my life because I had 20 years of not a single person knowing what I've been through.
And no voice.
No voice. Silent, throat chakra completely closed, everything inside. And I first started developing a voice through writing. It saved my life, you know? So Ayurvedic medicine with the lifestyle, and then she's teaching me things about self-care. And I remember she mentioned the word self-love for the first time. And I was looking at like an alien. I was like, well, what are you talking about? What the hell is self-love? And she was like, when you care for yourself. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this was so mind-blowing for me. Yeah. It was like teaching like a baby to walk for the first time. And she shared this wisdom with me that I had never ever heard of.
When you were in that state, how were you able to receive that wisdom? What was it that helped you to say, actually, you know what, I'm actually going to listen to this now? How?
It was her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was her. It was the way she delivered it, the way I felt safe and was able to trust her, and the way that I could see the light within her and this peace and this like health that I didn't have.
That helped.
So she was a living example of where I wanted to go that was possible. That I hadn't seen before. Yeah. You know, so it was...
Because you didn't even have that in your family.
There was
you
no
didn't have those examples.
Yeah. Remember my therapist saying to me once when I first started, she's like, do you have any role models? I was like, what's a role model? Like, I can't tell you. It was like I was a blank slate.
Was that therapist different to her?
It was different, yeah. So after I started working...
So you worked with her and then you went for the therapy?
Yeah. So I did Ayurvedic healing and then I started working with the therapist. And that took a long time to get round to. And I didn't do it for so long because I didn't have any money. Like, I was broke. But when I was able to get a bit of funds together, I was able to start working with a therapist and changed my life as well.
Then what made you go from that healing to saying, this is my purpose now?
Oh, yeah. So it was when I started to heal myself and couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
What can I ask? For anyone listening where it may help them, what were if you had to say 3 things that made the shift, that were the most compelling that you still do today? Yes. What would those 3 practices be?
Good. So 3 practices. Yeah. First one is basic, but nutrition. Yeah. Like the food you put in your body is everything. And it's so underestimated. Yeah, totally. Of the way it impacts your mental health. Yeah. So I started to eat healthy foods for the first time. Couldn't believe my energy levels, the way my gut was healing, my body was healing.
Were you doing a dosha diet, or were you doing more just the sattvic diet? Were you focusing more on just seasonal, organic, local?
At the time, I was having more of a pitta-based diet, so I was full of inflammation, full of fire, full of heat. So we were working on cooling everything down. Okay. So at the time, it was more pitta foods, but just getting more vegetables and things like that in. So nutrition, second one was journaling for me, because you're opening up, you're expressing your emotions, you're feeling, you're thinking, you're talking, like, it's just incredible. And then the third one for me was inner child healing.
Right, which is what you now teach.
Which is what I now really teach and specialise in, because that was a thing that allowed me to work through the trauma. Okay. Right, your vegetables.
Is it you speaking to your inner child?
Inner child, different ways. Right. So you can communicate with the inner child through journaling, meditation, writing, you know. It's a communication-based method, but also the reparenting. So the way you're able to meet your unmet needs from childhood. Right. So validating my emotions. Right. You know, allowing myself to do things that maybe I wasn't allowed to do when I was a child. Okay. Even things like rest and self-care and massage, you know, all the Ayurvedic tools, they are reparenting tools. They are. Deep down, they actually teach you how to love yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most beautiful
And that you
feminine
have the
science.
power.
You have the power, and it's
Yeah.
like you that gets to heal yourself,
Yes.
right? So we get so disempowered that someone else can fix you, but you can't fix yourself.
So, Carina, first, before we're talking about journaling, so this is what I've got for you. So I'll show you that.
I have a gift,
Yeah,
guys. I have a little gift.
It's such a lovely gift. I've shown you people this, so anyone who... I'm going to plant it. Actually, I'm going to wait till Estelle's workshop tomorrow and plant it after. But basically, that's waste cotton. The whole book is waste cotton. And then it has this quote from the Upanishads, which you may have heard. You are your deep desire. Your desires your will. Your will is your deed is your destiny. And then it's got seed paper, so you can plant your visions. So basically, you fill it with whatever your heart desires and plant that and see the wildflowers growing.
Wow.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's beautiful. Can we plant one together?
We could plant one together. And then this, what I love is that we don't know who made this. We don't know who wore this.
Wow.
How many hundreds of people, like, because it's bits of cloth, right? But ultimately, we're all connected.
Completely.
And in what you do, you connect people to themselves and to everything around them.
Completely.
And you can only be connected to people around you when you are connected to yourself.
This is the thing.
You just can't.
Yeah, 100%.
So journaling was a big part for you.
Huge, yeah, absolutely.
When you
Journaling,
do the inner child work, if I came to see you as an adult and said I need to do that work, what's the process that you follow? Like, not in detail because that's personal, but what is you have quite a unique way of working, because you're mixing the Ayurveda with the inner child, with everything that you've learned. What is that process then?
Yeah. So say if there's someone came to me with their childhood trauma. So I always start with my first session is I get that client to tell me their story. Right. Their whole story. Yeah. And people are like, no, really? Do I have to? And I'm like, let's go from the beginning. I'm listening with full open ears, because one of the most difficult things with trauma is that we've never fully been heard, and we've had to keep everything hidden away. So getting that first starting point is really important. Then it's through the deep subconscious meditations that I guide people through. So I take you through this whole process where you're then able to actually meet your inner child in the subconscious mind. And it's powerful. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it, because the subconscious will communicate with you in a way that you're ready for. And the inner child can reveal themselves in different ways. Not everyone's the same. Sometimes the inner child will show the back of their head, the side profile, only parts of the body, certain outfits. When I'm working with people at the beginning of their journey, the inner child may show themselves in like rags or like ripped clothes, and the outfits change as we journey each week.
Wow, that's
and
wonderful.
The inner child grows as well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It will actually grow from being like the 4-year-old version of you, 5-year-old, to the 8, to the 12, to the 18. The inner teenager starts coming through. Like as you journey, your inner child grows with you. It's so powerful. So I teach you how to build a relationship with your inner child. Right. Sometimes the inner child will be crying when you see them, and we have to be really slow, as if it's literally a person with you, because they don't trust you because you've never been there for them because of trauma and pain. So we have to really have that. You are the adult, the reparent, and they are the child that you're learning to look after and raising yourself. So it all happens in the subconscious. It's so unbelievably powerful. We'll spend time with the inner child, like validating their emotions, talking to them, doing fun things with them as well. There's something I call the healing garden that I'll take my clients to. And you walk through this white door, the gold handle, and then you arrive in your very own healing garden. And that's where we parent. But sometimes we need to go back to trauma and memories where, you know, there's pain or abuse or things like that. But we actually do have to be able to unlock it and heal it. So we always go to healing garden first, and then we'll journey in the subconscious mind together to that memory. But the thing is, I call this part of being your own superhero. So you go back to that memory as your adult self, and you see your inner child going through whatever they're going through. You pause the scene, and the adult goes in and rescues the inner child, brings them out, goes through the door, and comes back to the healing garden.
Because it's compassion for that child, rather than blame and guilt.
Exactly. And, that inner child needs a hero. It needs a savior, someone to rescue them.
Because they never had that before.
Never had that. But the thing is, we'll unconsciously seek outside of ourselves if we don't do it for ourselves. This is why traditional therapy doesn't really get you anywhere after a certain amount of time, because it's still external. So it's a relief because you've expressed your feelings, but then you haven't found a way out. That inner child is still stuck in that traumatic memory from X many years ago that's controlling them.
And what you're doing is you're teaching them you can rescue yourself. You will do it. It is incredible.
So we go through so
How long do people work? I know it's different because of somebody's whatever life situation, but on average, from the time you start working with somebody to is it that once people start, it's like going to the hairdressers or going to the gym or whatever, it's part of their life?
Really good question.
Or do they come, do what they need to do and leave?
Yeah. This is where maybe I'm a little bit different in the coaching space, because a lot of coaches are like, you need 6 months minimum to make a difference, which is realistic. If you've had trauma for 20, 30 years, a few weeks is a short amount of time. But my method is so damn powerful that people don't need to work with me that long.
Wow.
So I 6 weeks minimum, 12 weeks max.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't want to see you again. I want you so empowered you can go
really
move forward.
Good, you can become very dependent on the person.
I don't want that. I'm highly trauma informed in every area, including I want you to be self-sufficient. Yeah. You have the tools that I use, and you have to just go use them now after we learn them. Wow. So 12 weeks is a great time. If I'm working with clients that have been through war zones, terrorist attacks, I work with people with attempted murders and kidnaps. Like, it's big stuff.
Gosh.
If it's cases like that, it will be longer than 12 weeks, of course. But even if it's like abuse, like 12 weeks we can work through. It's about learning the tools you need to go through.
And while you're doing this child in a healing, you're teaching them to eat well. Yes. You're teaching them to sleep well. Yes. To massage and breathe. So everything. So it's not just one area.
It's everything.
That's incredible.
It's truly everything. And this is
really incredible.
What I put into my How to Heal method. That is where I run my group program. Is that via your Instagram they can find it? Yeah, my website.
How often do you do that?
So my next one is launching in 2023 at end of January.
Right.
I take on a limited number of spaces, but my method is literally like my whole life's journey confined into this 12-step method.
Wow. And is it anonymous? Are people, or is it a community that?
It's a community, So we'll all meet each other, and the girls, they like made best friends for life. We meet in person.
How many people in a group?
I keep it small. I keep it at 15.
Oh, but they physically come to you. It's not online.
Oh no, it is online.
It is online, but you see everyone.
Yeah, we see everyone, and then we do a little in-person meet-up as well.
And you said 12-step. So you have developed your own 12-step.
Pretty much,
That's amazing.
And I've got
Will you write about that?
I will. I have some visions. Like one of my dreams has been to write a book, my How to Heal book.
Yes.
And I would put all the steps in there.
And I can see you presenting it as well.
Yeah.
And you sort of do present it, but on a bigger level.
I would love to. This is the thing, because it is so jam-packed and powerful. Yes. I'm like, could I host like a How to Heal workshop? I'm like, I need like a 2-day intensive of like going through the whole thing. Which I could do, definitely. You could do it, It's life-changing. Does your vision keep changing? Like this, because when you were younger, somewhere in you know all of this was leading you here, right? Yeah. But now that you're here, does that vision keep evolving, or are you still on that same track? Such a good question. So interesting. Because I feel since the minute I kind of like knew that my dharma was to help others as a result of what I'd been through, I was super clear and almost quite simple. I was like, I want to work with people in coaching, one-to-one, then groups, book and a podcast. And that's just my vision. And
you've done all of that, right?
Nearly, book and podcast, let's go. But I kept it quite simple.
They're here. I feel they're here.
Yeah, it's it,
They're pretty much done.
Yeah. It's like all here just to experience it now. But I don't keep lusting for like more things and big things and this thing. I'm like, my goal is always like, if I can help one person a day, like I'm living my dharma. Like that is, I've got that written in a notebook.
So where's your joy when you're not helping people? Yeah. Where is your joy? If I give you a Saturday to do whatever you like, where is your joy? What would you do?
I love this so much. Honestly, for
me... You're getting more out of me than poor Estelle. All she got was just a drunkard, no good.
We love both.
Yeah, we love both. Two sides of a coin.
So I would do if I had the day off. Honestly, for me, I just really love relaxing at home.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
I'm not gonna say
me
fancy.
Too.
Like I just
pajamas
like pajamas. Like
a good book,
good book, candle, incense, like cozy. I like it when it's raining. Like I'm not gonna say anything fancy. Like that is genuinely what I love. And like a nice walk in nature's good.
Yes.
I just like being cozy.
So do I.
Home and,
but then if I'm home for a whole week and I haven't seen enough people, I guess you're seeing them in your coaching. But now, my husband works in our office and I work from home because I don't want to be with my husband all day long in work environment. It's not pretty. So I love being on my own, actually. You understand that.
Totally.
But if it's for 4 days running or something, then I really crave company. And I crave a bit of life and energy. And
it's good to have that balance. Time to go back out in the world.
You need that balance, right? But you're right.
Totally,
Cozy pajama day. There is nothing like
Even
it.
better. Like,
How are you able to, with your clients, how are you able to protect your energy from that?
Such a good question. So this is actually one of the reasons I do stick to online.
Okay.
Is I'm super energetically like sensitive, and when I'm physically around people, I feel and I pick up so much. So if I was to see my clients every day in person, like I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. Like having that energy,
and they're entering your space as well.
Exactly. Does help, but for me, I do have like an energy protection ritual.
Okay. Is that part of your steps?
I do teach a little bit about it for the one's personal self, but for my work based only, like I have a whole thing I do before I start my day.
Very good.
Ending the day, cleansing my space. Epsom salt baths are really important, especially if I do group work. I'm like straight in Epsom salt baths. Intentions, and like sometimes I'm working, I'm like holding like a crystal in my hand while I'm teaching, like I've got the whole thing going down. Good. Just really setting those intentions as well. And also, this is a thing, because I work with a lot of people that have so much trauma, and when we have a lot of trauma, we have a lot of energy that we've carried that's quite thick and dense and heavy. So it's knowing how to navigate with those energies and being mindful, because I've had times in the past where I've had bouts of getting really badly like psychically attacked, energetic attacks. But now I know, and I've from so much experience, learned how to really master it, so I can really be working with people in really dark spaces, and it doesn't come to me and attach onto me.
You can be empathetic without
impacting.
What's the best book you read? Not your one yet, because that's not here yet, but it's coming. But what's the best book you read that really shifted your energy?
Oh, I love this so much. And it's a simple one. It was the first ever spiritual healing book I read. Which one was that? I was 17. I remember going into Waterstones, and this is when my awakening was starting to happen. I'm like seeing a crystal healer and half taking drugs in the morning. I'm like, I'm so confused. Like universe, whatever this thing is out there, guide me to start healing. So again, Instagram's not talking about health or wellness. It's hardly a thing. I think it just came out at that time. And so I went into Waterstones. There's a little self-help section at the back of the store, and I'm looking through this part of the store I've never been in before, and it's Deepak Chopra, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success.
Brilliant
It's
book.
a classic.
It's simple,
so
but
and it's
brilliant.
All
I
the
have
other ones at the time intimidated me. So I'm like, this is all new,
and there are a lot to take in if you're not ready. Whereas that's simple.
Exactly. So I'm seeing that one, I was like, don't know what these words mean. What is even spirituality? But this was just drawn to me. And I read it in a whole weekend. And it's funny, because I read it, but I didn't understand anything it said.
I know.
But I just kept reading it. So I'm like, this is going to go in my brain. This is a different language to what I know. But one day it will click. And that just changed everything to me. It was teaching things like, when you see some, always bring a gift. Whether it's love or energy or compliment.
That.
This idea
take a flower, take a compliment,
the idea of Dharma, and I was like, humans have a purpose on this planet? What the fuck is this guy talking about? All these concepts I'd never heard of, and it just awakened something within me.
And each time you read it, you become a little bit more familiar, don't you? Because it depends where you are.
Completely.
I've read books 5 years ago where they could have been in another language. And then you pick them again and you think, that's what they meant. I get it now.
Completely. That's what I love so much.
That's what I love, returning to them all the time.
Exactly.
So that's a really good one, the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success.
Amazing
is
one,
an excellent book.
Absolutely.
Which would I love. Have you read Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov?
I've heard of this one,
excellent book. Seat of the Soul, there's a few I love. That would definitely be one. Oh, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Brilliant book. I read that one in 2010, and it's still probably one of my favourite books
that's
ever.
A great one.
It's a brilliant one. The Power of Now, Him Again. And then one that I just gave to my son when he left for uni, Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
And I remember that book, when I saw it when I was younger, being a little bit embarrassed of it, although I grew up in an age where people wore shoulder pads and it was all about money. But what I realised more recently is it's nothing to do with money. Think and Grow Rich is about your abundance mindset.
That's amazing.
It's about your abundance in your friendships. About your abundance in how you feel about yourself. It's really, money is that tiny part of it. It's very misunderstood. And all it's really saying is thoughts become things. That's all the whole book is saying.
I love that.
Is that if you think it, you can achieve it, you can be it. And so, and obviously you have to do the action, but what he's saying is, what does richness mean to you? Well, to me, richness means my health, wonderful friendships, and you know, I feel in a really good place to have those friendships.
Yeah.
And it means being able to have the freedom to do live my day the way I want to live it.
Yes.
Good music, a good cup of coffee. Whereas when I read it when I was younger, all I was taking in is, how do you get rich? How do you get rich? It's nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend that book.
Yeah.
And my son's taken it to uni and it's on his shelf, like pride of place, because I think he's of a generation that will understand what it means, whereas I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly didn't get it.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one.
That's amazing.
And
powerful.
so now that you are, I was naturally wanting to say healed. You now eat a sattvic diet, do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have more of a balance now.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult because when my body got so sick and I became like allergic to everything, I actually became really scared of food.
Yes.
I was so scared, if I eat that, am I gonna pass out again? Like it was so much fear. So I went a bit too intense on the how we say orthorexia, so obsessed with healthy eating. Yeah. That if I even looked at a food that was slightly unhealthy, it would like give me an anxiety. That's not okay. That's unhealthy. That's toxic. And then I wasn't leaving the house because I was afraid to eat out with other people, and the social side of it was ruining my life, and it was controlling me. It was an eating disorder massively. And sometimes I would just cry in complete despair, like I don't know how for this to stop controlling my life. It was so bad. So I went on a journey of healing my relationship with food, beginning to my digestion to start feeling a lot better. I was able to start eating again.
Did you do a kind of bench karma too?
When I went to India, but I healed before I even went there, so this is all here in the UK. But a lot of it was my mindset around the food. It was actually making me sick, more than the food itself at that point. It was literally my emotions around it. So big healing journey with that. And then I started actually on purpose eating foods I classed as bad or toxic or negative to show my body that don't worry, we're not going to pass out if we have this, we can do this now. That was a long journey though. So now I have an 80-20 rule. I teach this to my clients. I'm like 80% of the time just like have healthy wholesome foods at home that you like. 20% go have that glass of wine, have that pizza, have that chocolate cake, like live your life, you know.
Your body doesn't mind. I mean, I do find if I eat bread, I do find even with sourdough, my tummy does pop out. It doesn't like it. But then I say, you know what? I'm prepared to make that sacrifice because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly.
And tomorrow I'll eat normally again.
It's
whatever my normal is, it's balance.
Totally.
It's not feeling guilty about it. That's the biggest thing.
Moving on, right? Just having it, being able to move on with your life and not have to obsess over it. So now 80-20. Yeah.
Good. What's your prayer? Do you have a morning prayer?
Oh, I love this so
Do you have
much.
a prayer?
I do.
Yeah, can you share it?
Share.
Good.
So my morning prayer, I'll just do it when I'm in bed still. So it's literally like the first thing I do when I wake up. Like I teach this to my clients as well. Before you even got your feet out of bed, left hand on your heart with your eyes closed. And my prayer will go like this. I can share it with you.
Yeah, go on. I'm going to close my eyes for it.
Let everyone do a little prayer.
Yeah, close your eyes for it.
My prayer will go, may my inner child and all the inner children within every man, woman and child on this planet feel safe, loved and protected. May we remember who we are so we can enjoy the gift of life. Inhale in and exhale out. I'm just open my eyes.
What a beautiful prayer.
Yeah.
I love that prayer.
This is powerful for me. This really is.
Yeah.
Because I see so much of the suffering in this world, and everyone I work with is all coming from our inner child.
Totally.
And it is. We all are kids once. No one is, not exempt to go through rubbish. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from. So for me, like, what is the highest intention I can really put out there? And it's like straight to the inner child. So that one is like,
I love that.
and to remember who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we live in a world, and it's quite a fake world. You know, we're living behind masks and filters, and I'm one of those as well. We're all learning, but it's sad because underneath all of these characters, it's like is our true self. Yeah. Just like wanting to come out, wanting to be loved, wanting to be seen, and we're also afraid of that in many different ways. Yeah. And it's like we just remember who we are underneath there. Yeah. Like we're gonna just find our purpose, find our health, like connect back to ourselves and the world around us. So just the remembering, like we're all just remembering, and we're all just reminding each other.
All trying to go back home.
Exactly,
I love that prayer so much.
Thank you.
I hope I remember that prayer. I'll look back on this to remember
absolutely.
I think mine
What's
is
yours?
mine's normally May I be filled with loving kindness, may I be well, may I be peaceful and at ease, may I be happy and free from suffering. It's a Buddhist one.
Beautiful.
You say it for yourself, then you say it for a loved one, and it's whoever comes to my mind first. And then sometimes I'll think, no, I want to say it for that loved one. They say, no, the first person who came in. Then you say it for someone you don't really know. So it could be the guy in the shop that I go to buy my newspapers. And then you say it for someone you have an issue with.
Yeah, I love that.
So you repeat the same thing, and you repeat it 3 times for each person. And the other one I say is, I let go of judgment of myself and others. Something like that. I forget that one. But the Buddhist one I always say, because it does have to start with me. It has to. But I think what you say about inner child is really important, because I may say it for me, but if I'm not saying it for that wounded part of me, then it's not going to have the same resonance. It can't, can it? You have to pull out that wounded part, which is really powerful that you do that. And and then there's always somebody you have an issue with, even if it's a slight trigger. But sometimes I have to search and say, I've got no issue with anyone. But it might be a slight trigger that I judge someone. Maybe somebody walked in and I judged what they were wearing, let's say. That's the person I'll send it to. Because what was I doing judging them? And about filters, I was thinking about this. We can go overboard, but I think why we, as Vata people especially, we like filters is we like beauty.
It's true.
It's true. You know, Photoshop, like there's my father in the 1950s, right? That photo of him, and there's Bitu's father.
Beautiful,
They have been photoshopped, right? Those are not normal. So it's not just happened now.
It's like a thing of humanity.
All those colour, black and white movies, it was all because we like to look at beautiful things. It touches our heart.
Totally.
And yes, you can find beauty in imperfection. That's beautiful. This is imperfect and it's beautiful. But also, we like making things look pretty.
It's true.
So that part is not dangerous. And we shouldn't
judge it too much.
We shouldn't judge it too much.
Exactly.
And again, if I look at something and think, oh, that's been too airbrushed. That's the thing I need to send healing to in my next prayer.
I love that.
Because we can overdo it, you know?
That's so true.
So we'll finish here, because we could go on forever.
We could talk for hours.
But your next retreat is next March? Sorry, when is it? January?
Sorry, so end of January.
January.
So next January 2023,
Brilliant.
I'll be opening the doors to the How to Heal program, which is teaching you how to heal your inner child, reparent yourself, and transform your life. So
how long is that program, Carina?
It's 12 weeks.
12, which is the perfect time that you said.
Exactly.
And people are working through things each week.
So it's 12 weeks. We have 12 modules. So
Brilliant.
each week is a new module. You see me twice a week live, every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Each week you have a module handbook, a healing ritual workbook. There is so much content, over 600 pages of my soul, pretty much.
Which is pretty much, it's your book, right?
Pretty much,
but
exactly.
Except they're getting you as part of it physically.
Live. And there's a WhatsApp group, so the girls all chat in between.
And you all meet at the end?
And we meet in between, Honestly, it's the most incredible experience, and there's just so much in there. And I love the healing ritual workbooks because they have journaling exercise, healing exercise, Ayurvedic tea recipe, bath recipe. Amazing. They've got music, affirmations. I've just made it an immersive experience.
It's your soul. You put your soul into it.
Yeah, completely. So it's really, really powerful.
Oh, thank you for sharing that with everyone.
Thank you.
It's incredible. Really incredible.
So much.
Thank you. And we'll put Carina's details in the notes below. And if I don't manage to do it today, because I'm a bit rubbish at all that, then Annabelle will do it on Monday. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Now I have to close it. I think.
Amazing.
Oh, I forgot.